Thanks, Lekha, for joining us today. Why don't you introduce yourself and start with your theatre journey?
Thank you, Purnima, for thinking of me, for having me here, and for talking to me. It is in these times it's a little difficult to come by conversations, and it's nice to have somebody to talk to.
Very
Um,
true.
so, about my theatre journey, I'm from Hubli, basically. My parents still live there, and um, this one particular theater workshop that he's now a really dear friend of mine, Vilon Ravidran. He took this first theater workshop for our Dramatics Association, and the process and the structure and the way uh, he, each of us were introduced to our various strengths and how to use your body, how to use your voice, and I felt the entering that space felt like, oh, I belong here, I feel safe here. And it wasn't about being an actor, or it wasn't about being on stage. It was just that the process, the people, and the energy the space created was what attracted me. And I'm like, okay, I like this and I'm going to stay. And that is how my theater journey started. So after that, I did backstage for 3-4 years. I did production work. I learned how to do technical work like lighting and sound and things like that.
So you
So
were studying and learning all these.
yeah, so I used to volunteer
Mhm.
for a long time. My friend and I call ourselves professional volunteers because college we started going to uh, working with theater groups, just like small things like playing a sound cue or bringing chai or just making calls and making sure all the actors are there. So backstage crew. So we started work like that. For several years, we're volunteers, and volunteerism is what, at least according to me, makes the environment of theater thrive. So yeah, so during while studying, I started volunteering.
And how did you decide to take it up full time after your studies?
Um, it was it was an organic thing. It just felt I won't be able to. Uh, this is it for me. When
Okay,
I
so
was on
you
stage, there was
realized
one.
that you are comfortable there.
Yeah. So after college, I decided to take a year's break to sort of figure out what I wanted to do and not um uh, immediately jump into maybe a master's degree or whatever, which everybody sort of expects to do. I wanted to, because in our country, education is not, I mean, a BA is a really, really basic qualification, right? So, and you really have to know what you want to uh, grow in to know what you want to study later and to make that investment. So I thought I'll take a break and I will see what one wants to do. So then during that break I was doing, and that break became small, bigger and bigger and bigger, and I got more and more involved in theater. And one particular show, we were doing a play called The Memorandum, and it had a cast of about 9-10 people. Uh, it's a play written by a Czech playwright. Uh, I forget his name. Anyway, so in that I had about 10 lines, I think, in a 2.5 hour play,
Mhm.
and but this character is on stage, is visible almost throughout the play, but she has very few lines to say, and she's, all she had to do was comb her hair or something. Yeah, she
Okay.
only combed her hair. So to find several ways to the process of building that play was fascinating. It's, I mean, all my friends were there who we were working together. It was a great process. We worked 7 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon every day for 4 months, I think, to
So
build it.
you are
And
in that space together, just.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, breathing together, building, like just living that same uh, play, all of us together. And one particular show, I think it was second or the third show, I finished a queue and I came backstage, and there's this darkness, like from light, when you go into darkness, there is a feeling of vacuum.
Hmm. Hmm.
Stood there and this this is where I want to be. From I want to be here, where going in and out of light, going in and out of stage, and that this feeling of this, just having done a scene and come out and having lived that character. So yeah, that and all my epiphanies, no, I have this thing where I feel like a half an inch above ground. So it's that strange feeling where where you feel like you're floating, you're levitating. So that happened. Second time that happened. Uh, so yeah, I was like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do.
Lovely. And how did you convince at home? I'm sure the regular South Indian parents will have very different expectations. They wanted you to be a lawyer. You ended up something else.
A bit of pushback when I started doing theater. Um, I mean, they were okay until it was tell them. My mother is somebody who I tell everything, and I would slowly tell her. So I'm going for a rehearsal. I'm doing this play, or I'm working with so and so, and it was. I was omitting. I wasn't lying to them. I was omitting. I was not telling
Technically,
them.
you were not lying.
Yeah. So a lot of they. I mean, there was some friction. Especially my father, he'd declaim, "Oh, enough of theater. Think of doing a master's in English, or like do something useful, do something decent, do something dignified." So of course, Telugu parents, the DDs are very important for them. Uh, so I was like, doing anything else would make me not happy. I wouldn't say unhappy, but I wouldn't be content. I wouldn't do the best for myself. Which by the time I'd come to know that anything that I don't do that makes me feel worthwhile, it's pure torture. And I knew that I wouldn't last a long time at a desk job.
Got it.
Hmm?
Oh, it's not audible, is it? I was saying, yeah, cool. That was your call, so you went ahead.
Yeah, the calling. So yeah, my father also, he's also the kind who like doesn't enjoy being in one place, or taking orders and things like that. So I think I get it from him, where I decide I don't want to uh, be in a quote unquote office and do a regular job. Um, yeah, so after my first play, when I was on stage, so all this I did for 3 years, I was only backstage. I was watching and learning. I didn't feel worthy enough to be on stage still. So I was doing a small role in a really big play, and my parents came to see. And by that time, I was working with reputed people. I mean, names, right? So I would, and so he's directing this play, and I met so and so today, and he talked to me nicely, and they'd be like, oh, okay, so she's not like stuck in a den of debauchery. I don't know. Like my
Sure.
father immediately thought theater means Oh, okay, she wants to do theater because she wants to do film, and film is a really murky, sort of dirty place for a lot of people. And but I was surprised. Why would he think that? Because I wanted to do theater because I want to do theater, not because
Mm-hmm.
plans or whatever. So it was a little bit difficult convincing him that no, I'm not interested in, I don't know, heroin or
The
like film.
mainstream cinema.
Yeah, mainstream. Uh, Enjoyed the whole arts, the spectrum of the arts. So I worked with so many different companies. It wasn't that I was jobless, that I had job, but not always paying. But I was always engaged in something, learning something new. I trained myself as a technician, um,
You
and
even tried dance, right? You were into that contemporary dance program with Attack. That's where we met.
yeah. No, I mean, that was the first time I tried to train myself in in a dance form. I worked with Atakari for several years uh,
Okay.
as
For the theater practice.
as an administrator while sort of supporting my, and all these festivals were happening. So any festival in Bangalore, I'd be there. I'd be
Got it.
helping and
As a
organize.
technician.
Yeah, as a technician, as an administrator, as a manager, uh, person, whatever that is. And it was just it was so dynamic, and like every new project was completely new. Everything was so one learned how to hustle and do various things to like make rent, and it was difficult. I mean, there were some days where like you didn't know where money came from, but then you still pushed through. And and yeah, and of course my parents were supportive to an extent. I mean, after one point you don't want to ask them for help.
Right.
And yeah, so yeah, I can't say my story will help anybody else because the combination of characters are quite unique. Of somebody who, my parents are stuck in between understanding me. I mean, nobody knows me better than them, and trying to want the best for me and trying to cater to expectations of everybody else. So um, they have been, although I'm mad at them quite a lot, but they have been quite supportive.
That's great. So I'm sure all of our parents want the best of the things for us. It's
Yes, yeah.
striking the right understanding somewhere, hitting that middle ground. So you were talking about entering into theater, right? So what kind of challenges you faced once you decided that yes, this is my space. I want to do this full time. Uh,
Hmm.
for getting the roles which you wanted. What kind of challenges you faced there, and what kind of stereotypes you faced there? If you can talk about them to the extent you are comfortable.
Yeah, I never got the role that I wanted to do.
So, for example, in one of the dance shows, I remember I wanted to be on the first row, and I remember that
Mhm.
choreographer saying that I was on the heavier side of weight that time, and he didn't allow me to be in the first row initially. And then later he saw me performing, and then I think after a few days I got that role to be in the first row. So, a lot of times people judge you by the way you look, particularly in performing arts. So, you have to prove yourself that you know the skill, then you get your space.
True, true. Yeah, yeah. That's always happened. Like earlier, I've been. The thing is, I think I normalized it for myself because all my life, um, my in school, I always got to. I was made to do the boys' part in dance things, and there was always this undercurrent of telling me that I'm not good looking enough. I'm not in enough, and it was internalized, it was normalized for a long time, and I was okay with it. Like the first play that I did, it was a short thing. The first time I was actually doing theater in theater form and not some, uh, sorry, the first time I was doing theater in the realist form for me, not a school production, college production. Well, and I wanted to play a character called the Bride,
Okay.
the Lorca play. It's a sorry, it was a Federico Lorca's play called Blood Wedding.
Uh-huh.
And it's a beautiful play, and a lot of it is in verse, uh, and I was given the role of a beggar woman, and I was like, why? I mean, I think I can do. The thing. I mean,
You wanted to
I can.
get the main role, yeah.
Yeah, why not? I mean, so all that was bothering me quite a bit. A friend at that time said, "See, it's a woman. It's called beggar woman. You look like a woman, and the others look like girls." And so really, these excuses. I mean, to make me, I suppose. I don't know what it was. But then when I sat down with those lines and I really studied those lines and understood the character, I'm like, okay, what is important that I do this to and reach to and to the best that I can, right? What I'm given, and yeah, that's what's been serving me. It's okay because we are governed by the Bollywoodization of everything. This is my new term, Bollywoodization of everything. Even theater is so influenced by what we see in film, and not film in film sense, but commercial cinema, that everything and what we see, like a director, when they read a character and they imagine somebody and they want somebody like that, right? And how is our imagination shaped? It's shaped by what we see on TV and in cinema, and so I don't blame them necessarily. Maybe I would have when I was younger, but now we're all like, I don't know, victims of, I don't know, this strange space where everybody needs to be a certain way to like it, like a cookie cutter thing. Everybody has to have straight hair, everybody has to have these shaped eyebrows and this kind of makeup, and so
So do people ask you when you enter into a practice that, hey, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you straighten your hair? Because I remember you had curly hair, you still do. So, how do you not take it to heart? How do you give the answer?
okay, I mean, okay, I acknowledge that you think I would look better in straight hair. Okay, fine, great. Doesn't work for me. First of all, I can't afford it. Like straighten it and to keep it that way. But anyway, yes, there was some time where I like uh, see, I've been trained in my own head to have a thick skin, at least externally, to at least to somebody who's watching from the outside. Uh, like all my life, I've been teased as I was those glasses. You remember, I was bullied. Glasses. I was bullied for my manly clothes. Uh, so all those things in school, I was made fun of. So I didn't really give a shit a lot of the times, but of course it did affect me. Like, oh, people won't like me if I
If you're
don't straighten.
like them.
Yeah, if I don't look a certain way, and that's college I started growing out my hair. Because possibly, oh, maybe boys will look at me. I don't know. Until then, nobody looked at me. So like things like that were there, but now I don't know. I mean, it's just there were phases where I wanted to look a certain way. I did try it out, and I don't know. Now I'm at an age where it doesn't matter at all. I'm happy